Hi, this is Chris Whitaker, your co-host of The Platform, your Michigan High School Powerlifting Association podcast. Here to welcome you to episode 3 of our show featuring the head coach of the Troy Athens powerlifting team, the multi-time, the 4-time state champion Troy Athens team, and this year's boys and girls varsity state champions, Coach Nick Lusk joins us here for episode 3. But before we get to Coach Lusk, I want to remind you, please make sure that you subscribe here to the show on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. You can watch our show. You can also listen to it right here on Riverside. Whatever you do, please subscribe so you get updated information automatically sent. As soon as we drop the new episode, you'll get a notification that says, hey, there's a new episode of The Platform for me to listen to. Also, give us a follow on social media at Michigan High School Powerlifting Association, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you search us out, you'll find us there. If you have a request of an episode you'd like to see here on the show, leave a comment on one of the different platforms or send us an email, info@mhspla.com. If you'd like to be on the show yourself or know someone you think would be great, let us know. And we're looking to celebrate all the people, kids, coaches, programs in and around our program and around our association that make our association great. Because it's the people within our association that make this one of the best things going for kids, we believe, in the state of Michigan. So that's really all I got for this intro. We want to get you to episode 3 with Coach Nick Lusk. Hit the intro music.
Welcome to the platform, where the stories weigh a ton. Squat, bench, dead, we rise as one. Michigan's lifters, this is our home. Turn it up, feel that foam. This is the platform.
And here we are. We're back with another episode of The Platform, where the stories weigh a ton. I'm your co-host, as always, Chris Whitaker, Dexter High School, Iron Dread, Strength and Conditioning, Iron Dread Powerlifting, and Michigan High School Powerlifting Association board member. I am here with my co-host, Coach Chris Gillum, our director of the MHSPLA. Coach Gillum, good to see you again. Excited for another episode.
As always.
And we have with us the head coach for both the boys and girls varsity state championship team. This man needs no introduction at meets. You can hear the growl from a long ways away when he's coaching lifters. Right? He's a very successful coach, a good man, and I'm excited to talk to him. Coach Nick Lusk, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we got Coach Lusk here, and we have a ton of questions we want to get talking to him about. This one easily could be a two-parter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Getting to know Nick, talking to Nick and meets. Again, we really enjoy talking to him. But we're gonna run down through our list of questions and see what Coach Lusk has for us. Coach Gillum, I'll kick it to you.
All right. Coach, what drew you to the sport of powerlifting? Actually, I didn't even know what it was. I was teaching over at Bendel High School, and I was just the teacher that would work out every morning before school. And I had a group of 3 to 4 kids come up to me, and they're like, "You need to start a powerlifting team." And I said, "What was that?" I don't know. I was like, "I don't even know what it is." They're like, "Well, you go in and you squat, you bench, and you deadlift, something like that." I was like, "All right, that sounds cool. Let's get it started." So luckily, Brandon Chapman was the principal over there at Bendel at the time. He was a former head football coach and powerlifting coach. And he kind of showed me the ropes a little bit, and we started working out, training. And our first meet ever was actually Birch Run meet when you were up there. So yeah, that's what brought me into the sport, and then coached there for 2 years. and then got hired over at Troy Athens.
All right. Awesome.
Awesome. So you said you started at Bendel, and I didn't catch, what year was that?
That would have been, what was that, the 2019 season. So right before COVID.
So that's something I didn't know about us that we have in common. That was our first year too, when we went to Grass Lake on that 2019 group. So that I didn't know that. I figured you've been doing this way longer.
Nope, I'm a newbie. 6 years in now. Or 7, I guess. Yeah.
Hey, very successful in a short amount of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So you didn't lift in high school. You didn't compete in powerlifting. You told us how you got started with it. So 7 years in the MHSPLA. Share us briefly what your experience has been like from when you started at Bendel and through your 5 years now at Troy Athens High School. What's the experience been like for you?
It's been the greatest coaching journey, honestly, anybody could ask for. At Bendel, we were kind of like Elk Rapids coach was talking about, right? Small numbers, 7 to 10 kids going to a meet, and you're just looking to get them individually placed as high as you could. And then it's just it was awesome watching those kids grow and develop, right? And then I got hired at Troy, and the seniors at Bendel were graduating the same year I got hired at Troy. So I came back and I coached them one more year. And then that COVID year hit and went into just doing strength and conditioning at Troy because there was really no competitions or anything like that. So got the weight room rocking and rolling over at Athens. And me and Sean Terabandi, I reached out to him. I said, "Hey, Coach T, I know you've been doing this a long time. I'm new here. Can we do a little dual meet?" So we set up 2 little platforms in our aux gym. Him and his crew kind of showed me how to run a little mini meet, and it was a blast. The kids loved it. The parents, at Athens, there's always been a team with Coach DeVito, but it was very small. And, I don't think parents really realized what the sport was. So that year of COVID, there wasn't much going on. So they took the time and they're like, yeah, let's try it out. And from there, it exploded. It was, 40 some kids the next year, and then it was 60. And then shoot, I think it was 2 to 3 years in, we had 180 kids show up the very first day. And I'm like, okay, I got to figure out how to do a tryout for powerlifting because I can only run 36 kids in the weight room at a time. So it was this wild. I'm winging the whole thing. Trying to figure this out. But the journey to watch the kids grow and develop throughout the years, though, has been fun. To watch a group of freshmen come in, see them leave and graduate as seniors, and just to see the sport grow too. Every year the sport gets bigger with better competition. And the future of powerlifting, I'm excited to see what happens because there's a lot of colleges starting to pop up teams, which if there's scholarships available, kids are more likely to try to compete in something to get to the next level. And I think it's in a really good spot right now.
For sure.
So if you had to summarize your experience this past season, as you guys built up into those state championship runs, kind of how did it go for you guys?
So to summarize that, really with the boys, I'm so proud of these guys because as coaches, I coached football for a little bit and then just stuck with powerlifting these last few years. But we always tell kids, right, when they're freshmen, stick with it. Stick with it. Follow the process, right? Don't get distracted. Do what you need to do for 4 years, and you're gonna be so proud of what happens by the time you're a senior. And that's what these guys did. We were a very senior heavy squad, and it was 4 years of those guys coming in the weight room working hard, staying dedicated, doing what they needed to do in the off season. But more importantly, they built a brotherhood. Um, this was the first year I really felt that big brotherhood aspect of our men's team. When the years passed, we had like guys fit in here, 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 and we were always a unit. We were a squad, but there was always that X factor missing. These guys had it this year. I knew the first day I walked into practice, it was just pure testosterone. I was like, oh yeah, there's something special going on here. I can't wait. Um, and it's not like we have huge guys at Athens either, right? We don't have the 275ers or the super heavyweights. We're pretty split across the board from 114 up to like 207 is kind of like our big guy, right? So, but they were just getting after it, lifting heavy and hard. For the guys, it was just sticking with the process, because we also know how guys mature, right? Girls can mature much faster and kind of have quicker success there, whereas sometimes the guys, it takes them a couple of years to grow, right? And then once they grow, then they can start putting on that muscle. And with the girls, that one blew up year one. And since then, it's just kind of been almost a culture and a standard of we work hard, we train hard, we're going to have each other's backs, and we're going to do everything to the best of our abilities. We're not going to allow people to slack off in practice or not take it seriously. And it's just kind of been rolling since then.
Well, how many times have the girls won the state title? Just for our viewers that may not know.
Yeah, this is the 4th year in a row.
4th year in a row. I'd say the boys probably wanted to stop listening to the girls bragging.
Yeah, there was
That
definitely
would be
some
my
of that
guess.
motivating for sure.
I'm sure that had to have been happening, hey, so we're 3-time state champs. When are you guys going to step up? So they get to share one together this year. Then that's pretty awesome. I
Yep.
can say this, the only other school that I can think of that would have had teams in both genders that competitive in the past would have been Lusk. So like you guys are one of the few schools that have done this accomplishment. So congratulations on that. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
And you probably, like you said, thought it could happen, but the reality of it actually happened and had to be pretty rewarding. So good job, coach.
Thank you.
What's one piece of advice for another coach that's looking to build their own program into one that can compete for a state championship? What's some words of wisdom, some things that you think, well, it could also be things to avoid because, through the process, you probably have made some mistakes or wish you wouldn't have done certain things. So what's some advice you'd give them?
Um, I'd say number one, make sure you're taking care of your kids. And what I mean by that is make sure you're getting to know them. Um, and they need to know that you're there for them. And I think that's pretty common across powerlifting from what I've seen with our coaches, talking to them at meets and whatnot. It's a unique sport where these coaches truly do care about their athletes. So make sure you stay in that mindset and don't ever don't ever turn into like that transactional coaching where it's okay, I give into you, you produce on the platform, and then the moment you don't produce, all right, I'm moving on to somebody else. Like when they fail, that's where they need you even more because we know powerlifting is such a mental game. And well, they miss that opener, or they miss that second attempt, and they're all in their heads. So be there for your kids. That's the number one, because then you build trust and they build buy-in to you. And from there, once they believe in you, they're willing to do crazy amounts of work for you. I put kids through some rough, rugged workouts. They don't like me maybe at the time, but then afterwards, when we're finishing practice, they're like, I got something good out of that, coach. I appreciate that. The other thing would be surround yourself with good coaches. We can't do this alone. If you're truly trying to build a big program where, you're going to try to win a state title, and that takes at least 10 people scoring, right? And scoring high. So surround yourself with good coaches because, when it's me and 20 kids in the weight room, I could do a pretty good job coaching, but you still miss things, right? As those numbers start to grow, though, like right now, the way that we have it laid out is, we have 17 racks in our weight room, and I got five coaches in there. So we all got just about 3 racks that we're coaching up at a time. There's no way I could do that all by myself. And then the day of the meet, right? We know it's like you're running back and forth from platforms all over the place. Like, shoot, this kid's going and they're going at the same time. How am I supposed to be in 2 places at one time, right? So having good quality coaches there will definitely help you out. And don't forget, coaches need to be coached too. I had no idea what I was doing the first time. When I went to that Birch Run meet, I had no idea what I was doing, right? I'm like, okay, we're going to do 3 squats, 3 bench, 3 deads, but I didn't understand how to gauge attempts. I didn't understand the point system. I didn't know any of that. We got to make sure that we build our coaches also and understand that, you know, like we're competitive, right? We all want to win, but Coaches are going to make mistakes too. So make sure you're building them up the same way you would build the kids up. And then things not to do. Oh shoot, I've done so many of those. Let's see here. Always be organized. Always have a plan in place. And for every school, that's going to be slightly different. And when I mean a plan, I'm not talking about just your programming, and your daily practice schedule, but how are you going to fundraise, right? I don't know. We don't get varsity funding at Athens. So everything that we do, we got to fundraise for. So I have to have a plan for that. I have to have a plan on what coaches are going to coach what racks, which kids are going to be at those racks. Like, we have everything very structured and organized. And I think that's a key part of us being successful. And before every meet, I make the kids lifter cards where I put their 3 attempts, and then for each attempt, I have high confidence attempt. I have a this is kind of to be expected attempt, and then we're just having an off day attempt, right? So the opener is the opener, but then from there, every second and third attempt has 3 options, and I give that to the kids before we get to the meet. Normally on Wednesday or Thursday, I'll get those handed out, and I give them that. I give them also like 3 little goals and pieces of advice for each individual kid. And that builds on their confidence too. They know their game plan going in. The coaches have those same game plans. So that really helps keep everybody organized, structured, and on the same page. And where my failure came in before would be, I didn't do that until a couple years ago. So all of us coaches were kind of walking in there just like, what's the most common question you ask a kid? Wait, what's the most you've ever lifted before? What's your max on this? So on those cards though, I have each kid's best or their PR, right? And then the meets prior, what they did. I kind of keep it all tracked on this coaching spreadsheet that I have. And for me, that's huge because I can't remember things that well. I got to put reminders in my phone, probably just take out the trash. I know that's every Wednesday night, but if I don't put the reminder in, I'm going to forget it. So I know the day of a meet, I'm not remembering 20 kids as PRs. But yeah. And my biggest failure, I would say, make sure the kids are ready for the moment. This is still get angry about this. So it was 2024. We had a really solid squad for the varsity girls, and we went down to Baton Rouge for the nationals. And I was like, man, I think we might have a shot to try to take this thing this year. And Nina's been winning it year after year after year. They're out of Wisconsin. They're just Joe Lewis. He's so good. Like, he is a really good coach and has a solid program going on. And we got there, and okay, day 1 went great. Kata, she's a senior this year. Like, she went out as a little sophomore and just had a great day, better than we expected. So we were starting out strong. And then we did good in the 123, the 132. But then the middleweight classes, the moment was too big for them. And that was the first time I've ever coached a team where I didn't have them fully prepared for the environment. And if you've never been to the national stage, it's an absolute show. It's 3 to 4 platforms, and there's a big curtain behind them, and there's lights and music, and the MC Gino, he's announcing everything. It is a show. You know, it's kind of hard to do that in a high school gym the way that we design it. Like, there's no way we could replicate that. So they've never seen that before. And my goodness, some of them are just shell shocked. And we end up losing. We lost to Nina by 3 points. And that was Rhea was the national champion that year. And if 3 kids would have placed just a little bit higher, we would have won the tiebreaker even. So then I had to jet, and I had to go to a training for a month. So I'm on this plane flying, and I'm just, rehash the meet in your head. And I'm like, man, we weren't ready. Like, the moment was too big. And then I'm like, this is all my fault. Like, I'm the coach, right? So this is my fault. My team was not ready for this. So the whole plane ride, I'm like, okay, how can I do this better next year? So I'm in this training that I'm at, and I'm a member of the reserves, right? So we're in this like live role play sim round shooting training, and it's just boom, boom, shooting and running and gunning. And I'm like, in the middle of this, this is how much of a coach and a meat ham it clicked for me. I got to put him through a stress test like I'm going through right now, not running and gunning, right? So then the year following, right, in 2025, I set up the Friday before states, a stress test practice. So we're just going to come in, we're going to hit heavy singles. About your second attempt is what we'd end up working to. We would run it just like a meet. Okay, you're going to hit your opener, you're going to run your second attempt, and then we're going to stop there. You're only doing 2 for each lift. But what I did is once they were done warming up for squats, sent them all into the aux gym because our weight room and aux gym are connected. So I shut the door and we turned off all the lights. We have a little skylight, so it wasn't pitch black, but we started putting up all these flashing lights and this little strober, right? And, I brought in, like, coaches had their whistles going, and I'm just blaring like old school heavy metal, rocking and roll, like the deadliest type of music you can think of, right? And I tell the coaches, all right, I'm going to open this door and I'm going to get after them like a drill instructor. Like I'm back at boot camp. And when they come running through, you tell them to run through, right? Get to their spot. Like give them as much stress as you possibly can. And that's what we did. So we ran out there, they come flying in, whistles are blowing, air horns going, like it was just nuts, right? It's insane. But the whole purpose of that is then when they go to states the following Saturday, it's easy. They've already felt the stress and the pressure that they're going to feel when they step onto that platform. So for the state level, it was the nerves and the jitter that they're going to naturally have. They could be a 4-year lifter, stud, right? Stud lifter. When they go to hit that opener on squat, they're still going to have butterflies. But we put them in that stressful situation to help prepare for that. And I add, for every missed attempt we have, whether it be a command or a failed lift or, anything like that, we got like burpees. So we were tallying them, right? So now there's a reason of I can't fail because I'm going to have this consequence. So that prepared them for states in that aspect. But then when we did go to the national level again this year, they've seen it before. And we did the same thing again this year. And, it's just as a coach, my biggest failure was that nationals right there, not getting them prepared for the moment, not just from a physical standpoint, but from a mental standpoint too.
That's awesome.
Great stories.
Very good.
This is why we had to have him on here. Getting these stories.
I want to be in that room with the strobe lights.
Yeah.
I think I might get jacked and ready to set a PR.
Coaches, be smart though too. Like make sure you have waivers. I thought about that this year. I was like, oh, I gotta have waivers just in case, something happens. So always protect yourself too.
Yeah. You gotta have a safety waiver. So a lot of our next few questions you already answered. I'm assuming powerlifting is not, based on what you said, not a varsity sport at Troy Athens.
It is not. It's still a club.
Yeah. Yeah. And you talked a little bit about numbers, and you guys had 180 kids try out this year. Talked about your biggest failure. So he hit all these questions already, Coach.
Yeah, I know. So as a coach, you shared a failure, like that or at least you felt like you failed the kids. But personally, what's a failure you've had besides coaching that that failure helped you end up having success down the road? It could be another sport,
Yeah.
it could be anything.
Say in my mid-20s was probably I went through a really tough time in my mid-20s. And when this all happened, like right before it happened, I was feeling really good too. Like, you're a mid-20-year-old dude. I just got done playing college football. I'm beefed up, right? Every life is good. I'm starting to coach and I got a teaching job. So like I'm on my way up and yeah, and all of a sudden then life just rocked me. Right. I had a couple things happen in my life and I've always been a pretty good person my whole life, but there was a point where I was like, man, maybe I'm not that good of a person. Like, how could this happen to a good person? Right. And then I realized the biggest question is not why did it happen, but what happened? Or what do I need to see from this? Not why, but what. And then I started looking back at choices I made, ways I handled situations. There's been times in my life where I've had my temper get the best of me, and I look back now and I'm like, man, if I would have just calmed down just a little bit before I said that, that could have went a lot better. or acted a certain way. So through that, and I'm a big religious guy. So I dug into the spiritual side of it, and that really helped me get through it. But as far as those failures go, it's really that temper and that pride that got the best of me in my mid-20s. And I've actually used that now in some of my coaching. Obviously the boys get jacked up at a meet. They fail a lift, they're throwing the belt, they're dropping an F-bomb, something. I'm like, hey, you gotta calm down, right? Because we got a whole meet ahead of us. You got 6 more attempts. It was your third squat. It's all good, you know. But we do on Tuesdays, we do some core work and we add in Tabatas. So, 20 seconds on, 10-second break, 20-second again. And I came up with this 20-second kind of became like the 20-second speech. Like I give it every year. But I tell the kids, when you're doing an exercise, 20 seconds can feel like a really long time, right? But at the end of the day, it's not. But it's the same way when you're in life. When you're in life and I'm really mad at somebody or I'm really mad about a situation, trying to calm my temper for 20 seconds can be very, very hard. But if I can do that, I can make sure I don't mess something up in my life. But 20 seconds is easily enough time to give in to my temper or temptations and ruin my life, And I talk about texting, right? Okay, you're texting while driving, 20 seconds with your eyes off the road, that could really end in a lot of fatalities, right? So having that discipline to not do that when you're super angry at, your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your brother, something like that, losing your temper and saying something you don't want to say could ruin that relationship. We can ask for forgiveness, but we can't always take our words back, right? So my biggest failure in life with my pride and my anger, I've tried to use in my coaching so that the kids can learn from my failures and not have to go through it themselves.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing.
So the hardest thing that you've had to coach or teach in the sport, what is it? What's the hardest thing to coach or teach?
Leave your ego at the door. No, and I wish, it's funny too, because when I say that, everybody's thinking about the meat-headed football guys, right? And trying to get them to actually squat to depth, right? You know what I mean? But it's been lately the girls too. These Athens girls. Oh, we're 3-time state champs. We got. I'm like, you have not won a thing yet. We've had that talk a couple times this year, but yeah, no, ego at the door. You got to leave it at the door. Whether it's the amount of weight you're moving or if you think you're hitting depth or you're not, listen to your coaches. Your coaches aren't going to lie to you. They're not going to say, hey, you got to get lower in your squat when you don't need to. That gives us a disadvantage if you're squatting below parallel all the time. We could lose weight on the bar. So I'd say leave your ego at the door.
Good.
All right. So this is going to bring us into our speed set questions here. These are just quick, rapid fire, quick answers on these things. And Coach Gillum will kick us off with the first one.
All right. So this is based on preference, whether you for yourself or for how you coach. Favorite lift, squat, bench, or deadlift?
Love deadlifting.
A low bar squat or a high bar squat?
Low bar.
Sumo or conventional deadlift?
Personally, conventional, but if you got the hip mobility and the limb length, go sumo.
1 rep max or rep PR?
Ooh, getting old now. I love heavy singles, but I should probably only do rep rep.
Yeah, you get old enough, the rep maxes are more feasible because the joint, trust me, I can speaking from experience. Best accessory exercise for squat.
Bulgarian split squats and front squat.
Those Bulgarians. Best accessory exercise for the bench?
Spotto press and dips.
And best accessory exercise for deadlift.
Rack pulls or deficit deadlift. I will say though, all of them, if you got a good strong back, that's the best accessory you can do. That in your core.
All right.
hold up through the midsection to be able to exert force through the limbs.
Here we go.
So we're getting towards the end here. Before we give you the floor to kind of talk about anything that we haven't discussed, this is the part of the show where I always get to Coach Gillum for any final comments or questions from him of you.
Yeah, I mean, I think one, you've done a fabulous job at Troy Athens, and two, I do remember you when you first started off at Bendel. We did not know that you were from Lakeville until we talked to Lundquist, so I was not aware of that. So, what year did you graduate from Lakeville?
Wait,
Wait, okay, so you're roughly the same age as him.
I actually coached him his freshman year in basketball.
Okay, yeah, so you coached him when he was in school. All right, good. Yeah, because he seems like he's pretty much younger. So you're what is there like a 8-10 year gap?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, awesome. What do you remember about him since we've had him on an episode that'll be released? What do you remember about Nick?
Nick, as a freshman athlete, I love Nick. He was awesome, man. We would show up every morning in the weight room. There'd be about 4 to 5 of those guys, and because I was coaching football over there too, so we'd do off-season training, and then he would be there every day, and he would get after it, just working hard, pushing himself, and then in basketball, me and that team, we were the perfect mix because we were not basketball people by any stretch, but we were just a bunch of bruisers out there playing. And I remember one day, Nick's like, "All right, we're gonna warm up." I was like, "Okay, what do you got for the music mix?" And he had like, you know, uh, Eminem and all these other rap artists, and I was like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, yeah." We went out and lost by like 50. So then the next day, he's like, "Okay, I got a new mix," and it comes out. It's AC/DC, Metallica, much more our standard. You know what I mean? And then they went
Yeah,
out and dominated. But Nick was so much fun to coach, and to watch him and watch his success as a coach now, it's incredible. He's doing a great
yeah,
job at Phil, and they're on everybody's radar now. They're gonna be very, very good.
yeah. That's yeah. He had a. I think it was a fairly unexpected result by a lot of people, just because Lakeville's had some solid lifters in the past, but you know, they kind of came out of nowhere, I thought, this year. I mean, and we talked about beating that team up north from them for the state title. And I'm sure being from Lakeville, you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, the old big M there, Millington. Hurts to say it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Shout
But
out Lenny Dete.
yeah, for sure. With your experience, in the roughly 7 years you've been coaching powerlifting, who are some people that you may have approached to ask questions that were helpful to you during your time? Because as you said, you had a small group of guys at Bundle, you coach, you learn, and then all of a sudden you're getting an explosion of numbers. Who are some people you reached out to and were able to get some help that acted maybe as a mentor to you?
Yeah, no. Actually, this is a great question and something I should have talked about when I had advice for other coaches is like being humble. We got to always be learning. I'm always asking people for help and learning from others. So, coaches, stay humble too and continue to learn. But yeah, no, I've had so many mentors. Brandon Chapman up at Bendel helped me got started. Right, he kind of showed me the ropes, and then my next mentor would have been Mike DeVito. He was the Athens head coach the year I got hired in there, and he was running the squad. And then when COVID hit, just due to his age, is when he had to step out a little bit, right, because of the virus. But I learned so much about powerlifting from DeVito. Like I knew strength and conditioning as a football coach, right? But powerlifting is it's its own monster. And he really helped me understand the programming side of powerlifting and how to better make attempt selections. So I would not be anywhere where I am right now without his mentorship for sure. And then Sean Terabandi, Coach T. He's mentored me in so many different ways. He's mentored me on how to be a better coach, just in general, how to better coach and running a meet. Him and his crew came over that year of COVID, helped us with that dual meet. And then the year we were back up and running, what was that? 22, I think, was the first season again, where we were running regional meets and whatnot. They did the same thing. They came over to Athens that year. They showed us, they did a walkthrough with us the week before of, hey, put your scales here, place this here. They guided us through the whole process. And then we've been able to run them since then. But yeah, he was a huge mentor in that aspect too. Yeah. So really, those, if I had to say who were my powerlifting mentors, I would say it'd be those three guys.
Awesome. Yeah. Good. All good guys. And yeah, Coach DeVito, I still think he might have some of the biggest hands of anyone I've
And
met.
triceps.
And triceps. He's a big dude. I love that guy. And about probably the only guy with a rougher, gruffer voice than you, I think, Nick, to be honest.
Yeah, the two of us walking into a weight room talking to each other, the kids are like, we need an interpreter. We can't understand either of these guys.
Well, just recently the Hulk Hogan thing was released on Netflix, and every time I see you guys, I'm waiting for the brothers, hey brother,
Hey, brother,
waiting for
ready to
you
go?
guys
Oh,
because
yeah,
you guys
big day,
talk just
baby,
like
yeah.
yeah. Well, that's great. Good guys. I'm glad that they had a positive impact and influence on you, and so that's good information to know. Thank you.
We got to get DeVito on the podcast, but we might have to do that one in person when he's at a meet.
Yeah,
I'm not confident in his technology ability. I'm talking.
he's old school.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Nick. So now we're at the part where it's, anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want to bring to our listening audience.
I would just say if you're a parent or a kid that's heard about powerlifting or slightly interested in it, just do it. Just do it, give it a shot, and I promise you're not going to look back. I've never met somebody that said, I wish I didn't do powerlifting. Everybody is so grateful and happy that they did. And honestly, you guys are doing a great job with the association. Thank you for everything you're doing. I like the changes coming down the pipeline. So just thank you for what you're doing. And then I got to give a huge shout out to my staff. Obviously my lifters, thank you all for working hard and doing what we need to do to be competitive. But without my coaching staff and without my meet director, Carrie, we would not be where we are. And I owe everything to them and my family. My wife's a trooper, man. She's at home with, 3 kids, a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, 5-month-old. And, she's very selfless too, because she sees it too. She sees how great this sport is for kids. She's always been there day one supporting it. I just whole lot of thank yous because you can't do this thing on your own.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at the trajectory of when you started to where you're at right now, I mean, I don't know, what do they call it? Meteoric rise. I mean, because you to go from small numbers and like 4 straight years of winning a state championship with the females, and then adding the boys in this year. I mean, that's pretty impressive. And we know as coaches, it takes everybody. It takes the parents and the lifters and, especially all your assistant coaches, but, and the athletes too, because they're the ones that have to perform. But that's pretty impressive, Nick. So don't sell yourself short. You've done an amazing job there. And, what do you think is next for Troy Athens? Do you think like they can continue this run of dominance? Because that's pretty much what it is. I think 5 years in a row might be a record in the Michigan High School Powerlifting Association. Is that feasible?
I'll be honest with you, this sophomore group of girls, we brought up there was one freshman we brought up, and what was it, 4 to 5 sophomores up to varsity this year for the state meet. And there's some solid ones that were competing still at the JV level. I truly believe this sophomore class, if they stay focused, they do what they need to do, I think they can make a run for it year 5, and then there's another year. I mean, but there's a lot of good coaches out there too, to be
Yeah.
completely honest. I mean, I see a lot of programs growing, and I don't want to say any names because, like, I don't want to leave one out because I
Yeah.
when I'm scouting and I'm like projecting in my mind of, okay, I got to watch this guy and this guy, but oh, this guy came out of nowhere too. And, but there are so many good coaches out there raising up some good programs. And we were a nobody and we came out of nowhere. And look
Yeah.
what Nick did at Lakeville. All it takes is a couple seeds to get planted. And next thing you know, it's just sprouting into a big old oak tree, man. So, yeah,
Yeah, for
they
sure.
have the potential to do it, but there's a lot of good teams out there.
But what I'm finding as a trend, at least it appears, especially on the female side of things, it's like it goes and runs. Like Croslex dominated for years. Now it's Troy Athens dominating. And where the boys kind of go back and forth a little more frequently. You know, I personally don't know exactly why, but I do know this: for any program to have success year after year at that level, there has to be a great program in place, not only just training, but like the development of team chemistry and camaraderie, because everybody has to sacrifice. Some kids got to move into different weight classes to make the team more balanced. And that's not always the easiest thing to do. But, so that's a big credit to you guys at Troy Athens for doing that. And, maybe 5 years in a row happens. I can't remember if anybody doing it that many years in a row. I'd have to go back and look in the record books, but that's pretty impressive. Congratulations on all that to you and your assistant coaches and to all your lifters.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I think we'll bring this one in for a landing and call this one a show. But one thing, Nick, if people want to keep up with you or your program on social media, where can they find you?
The Athens, there's an Athens. Geez, I'm so not social media. So we do have an Instagram. I think it's Athens Powerlifting. I think you just look that up. And then me, I got one, but it ain't nothing special. I barely post anything. So don't worry about following me.
So give Athens Powerlifting a follow to keep up with their program. I'm sure if you send them a DM, that message can get delivered to Coach Lusk if you have a question.
Hey, one
on
last
anything.
thing, Coach. How many of your girls have went on to compete collegiately? Because we just talked to somebody about wasn't it one of his girls that just deadlifted collegiate nationally over 500 pounds?
Kayla. Yeah.
That is incredible.
Michaela, and she didn't even start till her junior year. I remember
Yeah.
seeing her in the sophomore. You find that one you're like, oh, come on, you got to come out. And she
Yeah.
did it. And then, yeah. But she's a phenomenal athlete. But yeah, no, I think she is the first one to go off to college. And now we got a couple more that are starting to go off.
Okay.
So yeah, she was the first one to go.
All right. Awesome. And I believe we were informed, and I don't know if you even know, but she received like the female athlete of the year at the college.
That's great. Good for her.
Yeah. And she's a freshman at college, right?
Yep.
That's phenomenal. So
She
congrats
is.
to her and the training that she got for the 1 year with you. And she's at Defiance College, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for her and good for you guys. Those are things you got to highlight, Coach, in your program. I think you do a really good job of highlighting those things and creating that pride in your program, and it shows because your kids are good kids and they're very good lifters. So once again, thanks for being with us. We appreciate you and continued good luck.
Thank you, guys.
This has been another episode of The Platform, where the stories weigh a ton. We'll see you next time.
Bars chopped up, clocks counting down. Another early morning in a small town gym right now. Steel on sleeves, heart in your hands. Every rep, every meet, building Michigan's strongest plans. Welcome to the platform, where the stories weigh a ton. Squat, bench, dead, we rise as one. Michigan's lifters, this is our home. Turn it up, feel that foam. This is the platform. Bus rides, late nights, singles in the duffel bag. White lights, red lights, every call, every flag. From the first warm up to that last grind set. We talk chalk, talk nerves, talk the best you haven't met yet. Welcome to the platform, where the stories weigh a ton. Squat, bench, dead, we rise as one. Michigan's lifters, this is our home. Turn it up, feel that foam. This is the platform. From the UP down to the lakeshore, every rock's a little more war. But you're never walking in alone, you've got a crew in your head Welcome to the platform.